Wow, Lifestyle Thursday is here, and I'm hoping that you are already set to learn so much. We'll be looking at food hazards, or health hazards rather. Did you know that the foods that you eat actually have a direct effect on your health? If you didn't know, well, today you'll be finding out as we're joined by Kibara, our nutritionist, and there's quite a lot right here. But let's just introduce our Karibu sana, Kate.
Thank you very much.
You're looking amazing.
You too.
Glad to see you. All right, so health hazard, health hazards rather. First of all, before we actually dive into what we have on our table right here, how important is food for the body, just to set the pace?
You know, for you to be healthy, for your systems to function, your body systems to function, you need to feed your body from the inside. If you look at what we're made of nothing but cells. Research tells us about 75,000 trillion cells make me. And you know, these cells are the ones that make the tissues make the organs make the system, and that system is you. And for you to keep that system running, and you know, you need to be alert, you need to be energetic, you need to be healthy, you need to perform your day-to-day activities. That cell needs to be given what it requires every day. So unfortunately, if you're not eating healthy, and this cell is denied of the nutrients or the activities or the environment that it requires for it to be healthy and strong, you end up, of course, attracting certain diseases, and of course we now know them, the lifestyle diseases, the degenerative diseases, that is. And unfortunately, they do not happen over time. It is something that happens with time. When you look at this cell that I'm talking about, when the nutrients get in, you know, the cells take in what they require, the vitamins, the minerals, and everything else, and then now it uses that to boost immunity and to keep you healthy. But when it is lacking in something, it is forever trying to protect that system, because the nutrients are not being provided because of eating unhealthy or eating the junk or fast foods for a long period of time. So eventually develop a condition that is lifestyle based, that is based on what you're eating. And this means if you're lacking in the basic nutrients, then of course you'll attract disease with time.
All right. So, you know, somebody would argue food is just food. I can pop in anything as long as I have energy. At the end of the day, as you said, the body needs to have something that keeps it energized and moving. So most people would argue that food is just food. And there are people who think, you know, the leaner you are, the more you know, suppress your food, and the bigger you are, the healthier you actually are.
I don't think in this day and age we can say food is just food. Because if you look at the repercussion of certain foods, and we're going to be discussing them, and we clearly know certain foods, if you eat too much of this, what we don't have bad food. What we have is poor eating habits.
Good. You just say that again. We don't have bad foods.
We have poor eating
habits. Okay.
And if there's a rule that I always like talking about. If you cannot do 100% healthy foods, then go for the 80-20 rule, where you know 80% you're eating healthy meals, you're eating healthy, 80% of your lifestyle and your diet is healthy, and it's only 20% where you can cheat. You know, people talk about cheating, you're spoiling yourself.
Snacking a little bit.
Exactly, once in a while. But what is important is that your diet needs to 80%. In fact, for me, I advocate 100%. But if it cannot be done, of course, because you might go somewhere, you might go for a party or something is happening where you have to actually touch certain foods that are not healthy. We also find in our markets today, it's very difficult to get really natural organic foods that you could be looking for. So once in a while, it's fine. So that 80-20% rule, I think, works well, because with the 80%, you're building your system. Even with the 100%, health is in your hands. You're the one who decides whether you keep healthy or not. And remember, disease is a process. And this is something that is quite important for us to understand, that before you attract a disease, I thank God I may not be having anything right now, but disease is something that cooks.
Okay.
I may live here and take a high sugar drink. I go somewhere, I take something deep fried food, maybe in the morning I ate something that was not as healthy, meaning with time this disease starts building within your system. So health is not the absence of disease, because disease is a process, because one day you wake up and find out, okay, now it has happened, and then you realize it's because for the last couple of years I've been doing this, or for the last couple of years I've not been doing this. But also remember that the foods that we're talking about have two effects. There's a short-term effect on your health, and there's a long-term effect. So any unhealthy food will actually give you a short-term effect as you wait for the long-term effect. And that's why we are always advised to, you're the one in control of your health condition. You're the one who chooses healthy or not. It's just you who decides what you're going to put on your plate, and how you train your system, and how you train your family, and how you train yourself just to try and adopt healthy eating habits. It's usually not difficult, but it's something that can be done.
It's for some people, they feel like it's far-fetched, because as you mentioned, it's not that easy to get organic food, original organic food. In fact, if anything, right now I hear our cabbage is plastic, our lettuce is plastic. So you'll teach us later on how to identify actual organic food. So right now, we're taking a look at what is here on our table, and I know the audience is thinking yummy, looking very nice. You can see the smokies, the crisp right there. But what do we have right here?
I think here we have just a basic feel or look of what we eat regularly, or foods that we find ourselves having every day. Not necessarily everything together, but you could have, maybe you had a sausage, sometimes you snack on crisps. So it is just a variety of foods that we eat all the time or frequently. And then we want to see what are the effects of certain foods if they are consumed over a long period of time. What do they contain? What is it that you're feeding this cell? What are you feeding your system with? And that's why we just have basic, just a few things that we work with every day. So probably I could start with, we like taking a lot of beverages. We drink a lot of, the best beverage is water, of course. Water is life. And then if you have the herbal drinks, these ones are very good. Tea once in a while is okay. So what we are used to, and you have seen this, we take a lot of soft drinks. And a lot of soft drinks is because it's the easiest thing to get. And it's the most we're always used to taking soft drinks. If you go to a salon, you find the whole day that's what you're drinking.
Just order for soda.
What you're giving your children to carry to school these days, they're just packaged shelf juices. The unfortunate thing about such drinks is the sugar content. When you're looking at sugar in the system, you require good glucose, the healthy glucose that of course is used for the brain function, it is used to give you energy. So when you're taking artificial sweetener or artificial sugars that now you find in certain
labeled as aspartame most of the times, right?
Yes, you could have aspartame, especially that one is found in sweets. Those sugar-free sweets will contain aspartame or saccharin, and this one also has a huge effect, especially on children, like HD, the attention deficit disorder, where they're so hyper or they're aggressive. So that one is found in those kind of sweets. But now for drinks, what we contain is high sugar content, and you don't have a lot of sugar in your system, the artificial sugar. Every time you take something that is high in glucose, your pancreas produces insulin, and then the insulin converts this glucose into glycogen, which is your stored energy, assuming you're not going to be eating just stored energy that your body will be using for you to function as the day goes. But if you take this kind of sugar that has so much beverages or soft drinks that have so much sugar, it means that at that instant my blood glucose goes up. And when my blood glucose is high, of course the body has to protect me. That cell that I was talking about, my system has to protect me so that it functions well. So it quickly converts this sugar into fat. And that's what the liver does, and you have a lot of fatty cells in the liver, and this fat now accumulates, you start gaining weight, and of course there are so many risks associated to this. There's diabetes type 2, when they're insulin resistant, because with time now your body becomes resistant to it. Another downside of soft drinks is the colors.
Okay.
These are dyes that are put, or I don't know how to, which word to use, but there are chemicals that are added because you're not using anything natural. Maybe if this was orange juice, it's not like we squeezed the...
From the actual orange pulp.
Yeah, to get the ascorbic acid, vitamin C. So what happens, the dyes are not good, or these colors, artificial colors are carcinogenic, if I may use this word. And we have the normal colors like blue dye number 3 and 6, number 1 and 2, sorry, these ones are used like in ice creams. You have citrus red number 2, you have the most common is the yellow one, number 5 and 6, and I think probably is this. And they have been associated with the disease cause you know, certain conditions that are linked to that, like asthma, you could have cancers, you could have interfering with your brain function, and so many other things. And why we have these food additives and the colors and the chemicals is because, of course, in the world it is regulated for you to add something. So they are known as GRAS, G-A-R-S, generally recognized as safe. So these compounds or chemicals that are known as GRAS, they have been used in our foods, and it's only up to now that now people are trying to see now too much of this has been causing this. Look at the soft drinks again. We are told like a 12-ounce bottle of some soft drink you may have, and that is about the 300 ml that we drink, is about 12 teaspoons of sugar.
Wow, no way.
Yes, and it means you're actually just having that 12.
Scooping the 12 spoons.
Yes,
my goodness.
If you convert that into grams, that is about almost 60 grams of just plain sugar. If this was 60 grams, I don't know how much this is. You know, in the supermarket, you can go and buy a 50-gram packet of tea. You know, there you have 25 tea bags, 50 grams. So add another 10. It's as if you're taking all that at once in form of the solid sugar. So soft drinks are a no-no.
So let me just ask, what about the packaged natural, and I put that in quotes, natural juices? Do they also have, you know, the color additives?
You know, there's a lot in the shelf, nothing added, no sugar added, no... For me, this is now my own opinion. If it is not fresh, if it can stay on the shelf for a certain period of time, then most probably something has been done to it. Maybe it's the vacuuming, the way they vacuum pack, or they add other safe preservatives like the sorbic acid that is added. But what I would say, if this has to be done, it's once in a while. We even have others that contain corrosive ingredients that could be bad for the teeth. We have others, depending on the soft drink that you have. So the thing is, if you have to take it, then once in a while, or replace it with healthy other options, beverages. Just drink your water. Just drink your water, and water is safe, and water will be okay. Make your fresh juices, which is easy, and that makes work easier for you. So that's with that. So apart from the beverages, let's look like maybe today morning what we commonly use for breakfast.
Right. And of course, we'll be letting you know the substitute to this. That will be tomorrow, and eat this and not that, on Feel Good Friday. So don't you forget. So today we're just working on the food hazards, what you need to avoid from getting into your system. So this,
Now, what we're used to is a breakfast of sausages. We like the cured meats, the bacons, the cold cuts like ham. And I think this is something that we are used to either in the morning or even at lunchtime. It's an easy meal. You can pack for your child to carry to school, or when you go to any restaurant, it's very easy to find yourself buying cured meats. So what are cured meats and what are the dangers of cured meats? Cured meats are meat that is highly processed. It's not the meat that you know, like if you go to the shop and you buy a steak, you'll have like you want the shin or you want this part. But now cured meats have undergone additional processing. And in this additional processing, what they do or what is done, of course, it changes its natural look or state because of what is added to them. So they may add a combination of other things like some chemical substances. Of course, they add preservatives because you don't want the meat to go bad. And then a combination of so many other things. They are also very high in salt.
In salt, I know.
Any cured meat is very high in salt. Bacon, very high in salt. Sausages. So
Is that for preservation purposes as
Yes,
well?
yeah. The high sodium is for preservation. They can use sodium, or you can use things like nitrates. The nitrosomes are used in the preserving of the cured meats. So what are the dangers of this? In fact, research says if you would take one sausage a day, every single day, and a sausage a day is about 50 grams, it's about 12 grams of fat, of fat. If you're taking this every single day, research says that you have a high risk of attracting certain cancers.
Oh, no.
Cured meats have been associated with this.
Okay.
So if you're going to take a sausage a day, it means that not only are you taking the preservatives, the nitrates, the nitrosomes that are added to it, there's the high salt content, and then because there's no fiber, and this kind of cured meats are high in fats, the saturated fats and the cholesterol, it brings a lot of detrimental to your health because it's not something that your body is used to. In fact, we are told every day you must, you require healthy proteins. They're complete amino acids. And where you get this from, the best source is the animal source. But you can also, if you're a vegetarian, you know how you can combine because vegetables are lacking in the complete amino acids. So if you added something like soya or moringa or mushrooms, you can get your B12, which we lack in vegetables. So if you're going to have your meat, then look for the lean cuts of meat, like you said, we're going to discuss. But the dangers of this, one sausage is just too much for a day. Things like three small pieces of bacon, the bacon rashes, it is just too much than the body requires.
Wow.
And the dangers of the chemicals in it, we know all chemicals are carcinogens.
Yes.
So the high risk of attracting these cancers that we have seen. And apart from that, there is obesity. From obesity, of course, you have the cardiovascular diseases, you have strokes, all allergies especially, all associated because of the concentration of water,
nitrates that are there.
And it's even, you even have different types or tastes of the sausages. You have one that tastes different from the other. So it depends on what is used in it and how it is processed.
All right. So we crossed over to that table, the spices. Maybe we should start. What's wrong with spices? I thought spices are really great, high in nutritional value. So what is wrong with the spices?
There's nothing wrong with spices. Spicing your food is, it's good to have food that is tasty on the table, and then you play around with the different ingredients that we have. But the problem with spices is the type of spice you're using. Most commonly, we add too much salt when you're cooking, and salt is not a spice, but it's something that we add into the food to give it more taste. But I'm going to talk about the spices first. So we have what we commonly use are things like michuzi mixes. I think this we were brought up using michuzi mixes throughout. We're going to put a cube of something or just two additional different spices. The fact is, or the question is, what do these spices contain? What is the main ingredient? When you look at michuzi mixes, what we have a lot of is a compound called, or is it a chemical, an additive called MSG. MSG is known as monosodium glutamate. And it is what, if you add them with michuzi mix or any spice that has MSG into your, let's say spinach or sukuma, it has that meaty taste. It actually has a very nice taste. In fact, you're told if you're a chef and you don't know how to cook and you put a little bit of MSG in the food, in the kitchen, it really tastes good. It changes the taste. And that's what we are used to, and it's highly addictive. So what are the dangers of MSG? MSG may be debatable right now because they keep talking about it, but of course some countries have banned it. MSG is a chemical that causes, it's highly carcinogenic, causes heart palpitations, flushing of the skin, and it's highly addictive. If you had things like maybe crisps or anything that is instant, that they all contain MSG, not the crisps, sorry, the instant stuff, you find that you are really addictive to these things. And you find that you cannot stay without, or it gives you a very nice feeling and a very nice taste. And it is the effect of that MSG in your, the chemical interruptions in your brain that actually bring this. Unfortunately, of all these chemicals that I'm talking about, we have the natural
The alternative.
Alternative that is
Right.
natural. But because of technology, because we are so now up there, we have made certain chemicals that do the same as the natural ingredients. So we just created others that do. So we have those spices.
Right.
The rest you would
And
find.
is it all spice? Because some spices, well, they claim that they're natural spices. So is it all of them that have MSG?
That's why it is important to read labels.
Labels. But sometimes they lie on labels.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why you'd rather, if you have to make a combination of garlic, ginger, wort, and luckily we have a lot of these fresh foods around. So you can just use what the spices that you know, or you buy from a source that you know that is good. But reduce then on the on putting a lot of spices in the food. If you don't have any other option, but you do not have to cook with spices. We only add spices because we cook the wrong way or using the wrong cookware.
And of course, we'll be telling you once again tomorrow on what you need to eat and what you need to avoid. That will be tomorrow on Feel Good Friday. So don't you worry, we've got your back. So let's just go on.
So on this side, we are also on something we do quite. We use every day, and we have the cooking oils.
Yes.
Or things like margarine, you know, that you have to add on your bread, etc., etc. So what are the dangers of this too? Cooking oils. You need to have a good HDL cholesterol.
Okay.
And your good HDL cholesterol is the good fats, the fats that help in protecting your system, keeping you healthy. And this good HDL fats comes from natural sources. You could have from fish, you can have from nuts and seeds, you could have from things like olives, plant-based. But then because we actually need it, so we have oils that we use in our cooking. We have both the liquid oils and the solid oils. The liquid oil, like this one, if it is not cold pressed,
cold pressed.
Yes,
okay.
written cold pressed, meaning that in the processing, what they did, if it was sunflower seeds, they pressed the sunflower seeds, crushed them with no heating at all. If it is olives, they just, like a juicer, the way you make carrot, you make
that
juice.
is cold pressed.
Yes, that is the same concept. So when it is done in the solid form, let's start now with anything that is solid. The solid fats, they block your arteries, they block your vessels.
Those are the hydrogenated fats,
Those
right?
are the hydrogenated fats, and also we call them the trans fats.
Okay.
They actually block your vessels, meaning if you cook your food, the way we fry, you can check, sometimes you find that there is the layer of oil. That if the food cools, there's that color of oil, or when people are buying fries, you say, mafuta imeisha, you know, because you don't want that liquid to get back. When it gets back into the system, it does the same thing. It's going to block there if you're not exercising. And remember, chemical additives and these food hazards, we have already reduced your metabolism, so it becomes very bit difficult for you even to burn it off. So the liquid oils are much better than the solid ones, but the only thing is that they contain the saturated, they are trans fats, because they have been, it's a liquid, it has been created in a different way. It is still not the natural, maybe it does not contain what they say it has inside. So also the background of the oil is quite important. So both liquid oils are known to be carcinogens. The solid oils will block your vessels, and this is something we know. So if you have to use very little, or
my concern, though, especially with the liquid oil, is, you know, especially children, you're asked to put a teaspoon or a spoon in their food, in their porridge, and what have you. So does it have the same effect? Because children need to gain weight, and they need the fats. So is that?
Unfortunately, this kind of oil has the bad, promotes the LDL cholesterol, low density lipoprotein, that actually has diverse effects on your health. That's why it is important to, if it is a child, of course use the healthy fats. You can use cold press. Sometimes you can use butter, is also good because it's naturally done. But much better, but not the best.
Not the best.
So, and I don't know, maybe you could use additional foods that have natural fats for the child, but it's good to add, yes, of course they need, at any growing age, even for an adult, you still need your omega-3 and omega-6 that comes from the good oils. The good oils also help in boosting your immunity. So this is something that you actually require every day. So when you look at the things like margarine, what we apply on bread, I think this is a no-no. Maybe just you look for a natural option of what you can do because of the same diverse effects.
Right.
And like I said, when all these things were done many, many years ago, they were generally recognized as safe. It's called grass. So it's only now that we are realizing, many years later, decades later, that they actually have, if they look at research, a majority of people got this because they were taking too much of this. That's why the world is trying to change for people now to eat more healthier.
And organic. All right. Okay.
And then the other one, we have sugar. This is something that we like every day.
I know. Especially those who have sweet tooths like myself.
I know, and if you look in a day, how often do we use sugar? Probably in the tea. In the morning at 10 o'clock, you'll have a samosa with tea again. Maybe you're cooking something, you add sugar.
Right.
This is just refined sugar. Is just, it has no nutrients.
At all?
At all. It's not giving, the only thing it's giving is energy.
Okay.
And the energy that it gives you is not healthy energy that you actually require. In fact, what sugar does, sugar gets into your system, into that cell, and takes over the place of the nutrients that were meant to be there.
Wow.
It takes over a place for all your vitamins. It replaces even something like chromium, and chromium is very important. It's a trace element, mineral, very important for your system. So sugar also increases your chances of insulin resistance.
Yes.
It makes you add weight because of now too much glucose being converted into glycogen.
Yeah.
Sugar also that makes you add weight, yes, it makes you fat, and also it is something that will give you mood swings and dependency. You get yourself addicted to sugary things because of that imbalance that you create in your system. So, and every time you take high sugar foods or anything that has sugar, your glucose levels rise. So the body really works hard to bring it down.
Okay.
And by the time it's back to normal, you're hungry again, and that is maybe about, you took maybe tea and white bread in the morning, all refined, even the white bread acts as pure sugar because it's processed.
Right.
So by 10 o'clock, you're hungry again. And then you eat another tea and a samosa. So it's like a trend that goes throughout the day. You keep getting hungry or because of the sugar element.
Sugar. All right. And so we'll be going, let's just go for a short break right now as we digest, especially for those of us who need sugar and everything. We'll be right back. We're going for a short break. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back to Lifestyle Thursday. In case you have just joined us, we're looking at foods that can be a hazard to your health. And I'm joined by Kate Kibara, and she was just taking us through some of the foods that could be your favorite that are really posing a danger to your health. And we went through the juices, Kate Kibara, we went through the sausages, the processed meats, as you mentioned. We touched a bit on the spices and the MCGs that are there, the margarine and the oil. Quite a shocker right there. I never expected the oil to be amongst, you know, the danger foods that would have. And of course, you also touched on sugar. What else do we have on that table that could pose a health threat to us?
The other things we have are things, if you could pass me
the crunchy crisps. Oh my goodness, no.
What we use for snacking.
No.
You know, this is not just it. There's so much out there.
Okay.
So there's just examples of what we particularly like and we eat. So we have snacking. We like snacking throughout the day.
A lot.
It's good to snack healthy, you know. And you find yourself, if you eat foods that are highly processed, you find yourself actually craving them, and it makes you eat this, want to eat them even more.
Right.
This is because of the additives. Like I said, high sugar will make you crave more, high fat will make you crave more. So when you feel hungry in between and it's not lunchtime, we like snacking on crisps.
Right.
We like snacking on mandazis, cakes. What else
Please don't tell me those are bad. Please don't tell me not mandazis.
And then, you know, the thing is, if you open a packet of crisps, have you ever seen that if you open and you decided, oh, I was just only going to have one?
Yes.
You end up having the whole packet.
Yes. That happens
This
quite a
is
lot.
because, first and foremost, what do we have in this? Salt, the fats, because it's deep fried, and then any other seasoning or spice that they may add. The thing about this is too much saturated. The fat in it, of course, is what you do not need. The trans fat is what you do not need constantly. If sometimes they decide to put a little bit of MSG, then it means it becomes addictive and you take. This is not helping your system. Remember, you took the sausage in the morning, maybe you took white bread, then it is 10 o'clock, you're taking crisps.
Yes.
80-20% rule that I said, where is the body getting any nutrients? So far, only the only thing your body is doing is to really work hard to get rid things of these things Kate is putting inside.
Yes.
Because from the time I wake up to in the evening, I'm just playing around with my system, and the body really works hard. So these are things that you should avoid. Crisps, you should avoid things like, what else do we like? The drinks I've talked about. Mandazis especially, I've seen people take a lot of this. And this, you know, these ones are also deep fried. And the deep frying of any refined, it's a refined flour, and then it is deep fried. And this, of course, increases your fat levels in the system because of excess glucose. So snacking on certain things is not fine. I've also seen how we snack on cookies.
Another favorite of mine.
I think you can choose healthier options of things like crisps. I've seen them out in the supermarkets these days, healthier options. Things like cookies. We like cookies maybe with your cup of tea in the evening or in the afternoon. The fact is you need to look the way they are prepared. Of course, when you're making the dough, they put a lot of fat. Or they add fat, the trans fat. There is also high sugar content. So it's the same effect like I'm discussing. Anything that is high in sugar, high in fat, high in salt. And of course, not the carcinogens, which are the additives and the preservatives, will actually bring problems into your system. So too much of this. And the idea I want us to have is, that's what I'm doing, I've been doing every day. I do this every day. So when am I feeding this system in a healthy way? Is it only at dinner when I'm going to have, during dinner when I'm going to have maybe sukuma with ugali and nyama? Is that enough for your system to keep well? And again, when you look at the chemicals and the preservatives that we have in these things, if let's talk about the nitrosomes or the nitrates that we use in the cured meats. We even have things that like formalin that is used as a preservative. Formalin, formaldehyde is used to preserve.
The dead. I
So
know. Oh, no.
if it gets into my system as Kate,
Lord.
will it think that it doesn't have to do the same thing?
Oh, no.
So the thing is, when you have such chemicals in your system, they're interfering with your digestive system. They interfere, the preservatives, for example, like the nitrosomes, they will interfere because their work is to kill the mold or the yeast or the bacteria in that food. So when you take too much of it, research has said that the same ingredients will start now working on your healthy bacteria and killing it, because there's no difference between the one that is outside and the one that is in your system. So the plan is to get these things, because of course even the air we breathe contains free radicals. So it's good to have antioxidants that, like you said, we'll discuss tomorrow to remove. Then the last one I'm going to talk about.
Before we actually cross to that, I think we had mentioned aspartame as a sweetener, and there are people who believe, you know, in purely using alternatives to sugar, and they believe in the, you know, the artificial sweeteners. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I know from sugar, you could look for other alternatives, and I've seen we have things like jaggery that are sold in the supermarkets, and a lot of now of these artificial sweeteners. The one I know that is most common is called aspartame and saccharin, and you find even just a sweet. A lot of diabetics may want to use it.
They do,
if
actually.
If you do not now want to have the natural or the artificial sugar. The only downside about this was research that shows that it causes hyperactivity in children. It may cause allergies in adults. It may cause the same effect I've talked about, maybe problems with your digestion. It may contain, it even is associated with asthma attacks. Because it's not as natural, and if it is something that is done over and over again, remember it's the frequency and the consistency of such things. But it is, of course, less evil than having to take
the actual sugar.
and then of course now from this, if that was not the only source, then you can go to the natural source of sugar, which you can do honey. You can do things like stevia. Stevia is a natural plant that tastes like sugar. You can actually add into tea like sugar, and it's naturally growing, occurs naturally. The other trick with sugar, I wish it could be easier for if we learned how to take like drinks or tea without sugar. It actually helps you. Remember, you're removing nutrients by taking the sugar from the system. You get brittle bones. There's a lot of disadvantages with the sugar. Then there is salt. that we keep adding. I had not mentioned salt. Salt is sodium, and sodium is used everywhere.
Yeah.
Anything that is processed, anything that is refined, they will always contain high sodium.
Okay.
And high sodium, of course, is associated with all these risks, especially of high blood pressure and hypertension. So it's good to reduce, although you need to have sodium itself in the system. So it's good to reduce the quantity and the amount, and also look for foods. If you cook well, by the way, and if you use a lot of spices, you'll realize that you do not need to use so much salt.
The natural spices.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you find that it reaches a point where you now when you attract something, you stop taking the sugar. By force, because now you have just to stop doing it. You stop taking salt, so it becomes really tough. You start boiling food, so it's good to protect it when you're there.
Right.
Other spices that I had not mentioned are things like
chili?
the sauces.
Is that chili sauces, right?
The sauces that we add, just, you have your fries, which I didn't even mention, should be in this category, or pizzas or a burger, same category of fast foods with very diverse effects to your health. So the chemicals in it, of course, that's what you're concentrating on, the sugar, the fat. We have food color, and food color is what we use a lot, especially in our cakes.
Yes.
We use food color in juices, we use ice cream, so... In fact, I've even seen people who use it on your hair. You just buy food color if it can do that.
It gives you a nice tan.
A nice tan, yeah. So these are things to look for, the natural alternatives if you can get. If they are not there, then try to avoid and include others that may work well for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we shift gears to this one, which is a favorite, especially for many children. They absolutely, anytime you hear a child asking for a quick meal, Mommy, do this for me, Mommy, cook this for me, and you guys know what this is. So tell us, is there anything wrong with this?
I'm going to put it in a category of anything that is instant, anything that is easy to prepare. 5 minutes, put in the oven, in your microwave, and it's ready. These foods have a highly processed, and that nature of the processing that makes it now reduces your cooking time. So that's why even if you put boiled water in there, it's 5 minutes, I think, I don't know,
It's
maybe
set.
3,
Right.
It's ready. Or you buy something on the shelf, you just microwave for 3 minutes. The dangers of that is the chemical levels and the preservatives that it contains.
Wow.
And certain foods, I don't know if this one may have MSG. They may have the preservatives I was talking about. And these things, we're looking at carcinogens that are directly in your food. So even feeding your child with this kind of food every day, maybe it is a shortcut because you're busy, or it's the most available, it's really dangerous to your health.
Wow.
And you find dangers of certain feeding habits, poor growth or stunted growth, because the child is not getting the vitamins and minerals that the child actually requires for growth. You find that they are slow in school, they have slow function. Not only this, I'm not talking about
the whole
a general healthy eating habits. You find that it actually affects. Apart from this, unhealthy eating will affect even adults, or it brings about things like depression.
Oh my goodness.
You're lacking in the healthy vitamins, like B vitamins, that is excellent for your for your brain, and your body is now stressed out throughout to work, especially on the sugar, the artificial sugar that is added and the fat. So you find that messing with your brain in this way actually is linked to certain mood swings. You know, like when you don't have sugar, you're just feeling low. So a sugar drink will make you get back online. So mood swings and depression is associated to this. And things like obesity, this we know, high blood pressure, we know this. Some certain cancers have been linked to all these chemicals and all these ingredients that I'm talking about. You mess up your digestive system. And then with this, now you find that eating foods actually react. I'm eating this, it's bringing a problem. And it's some of these ingredients will be very difficult for your body to break down. Yes, because my body is used. I'll take I'll take a food that contains maybe beta carotene or vitamin A.
Right.
So they know which enzymes to produce to break this down.
Right.
But when it is artificial, I think the body kwanza ijuange, what am I going to do with this? So should I put it aside and then we can work on it when this antioxidants are provided in the food. So you really give your body too much stress and strain for it to protect you.
All right. What about chocolate. I love chocolate, and some doctors say, or is it research, that it's actually good for your health, especially if you're having mood swings and what have you. If you're pregnant, that a dark chocolate specifically is very good for your health. Tell us about that.
Yes, I knew we would mention chocolate. It's okay. Dark chocolate research has shown that it actually has good, or it gives you health benefits. But I'm not talking about any dark chocolate. Maybe they had a specific one they were talking about, because I would not trust a dark chocolate that has just been manufactured with all these chemicals, and another one that has been manufactured maybe with more healthier ingredients. So, but dark chocolate yet helps. Yes, is good. Just like they talk about foods that could contain, for example, red wine. They say it's better than white wine, though at the end of the day, alcoholic beverages are not good at all. So it depends on how often you're taking, and why, for example. Why do you need to take the chocolate?
The chocolate in
what is it that you want out of it? So what else can you take that is healthy to replace the chocolate? That's how we need to look at food. So why do I want, if it's your cheat day and it's the chocolate that you want, but just it's like a box, not that it's the whole thing that now you have to finish because you have been told it's safe. Like I said, all the foods are safe. It's only that we have poor eating habits. Too much of it will actually have the short-term health effects, which eventually, with no other way out, leads to the outcomes that we are getting now, lifestyle diseases, even with young children, young people.
And maybe a substitute for something like chocolate. A quick fix. Could it be a fruit?
I think if you're craving chocolates, you're craving the sugar taste, it means that you're not giving your body healthy glucose or complex carbohydrates for the glucose to be released slowly. For me, I would snack on, I don't know, grapes. You know, something that may have the equal taste or feeling, but the person who, if you're craving chocolates today, you need to start working on your food, on reducing the fatty foods and reducing the high sugar foods, because they're the ones that will make you crave not only for chocolates, even things like sausages, you'll crave because that's what your body is used to. Within 3 days, your taste buds adjust, your neurotransmitters are affected, so the body craves for what you have been giving it. So you're walking in a supermarket, you actually see you did not want to touch a burger, and you're seeing it and you're telling yourself, let me just take care. So when you change that imbalance from your system by providing healthy alternatives, you find that the cravings go away, and the cravings reduce when you reduce certain certain ingredients in your diet. And then what you need is variety. And this is something I always stress on. If you have a menu for 12, maybe for 2 weeks, 14 days, today you eat this, today you eat that. By the time you get into that chocolate, maybe you do it twice a week, twice in the 2 weeks. It's actually going to be easier for your system because you have the 90-100% food that you're providing that is healthy. So if it is the other way around, and unfortunately that's what we do, 90% of our foods, this is what we eat most of the time. Why can't we not get into more healthier foods? And then if you just have that chocolate one day, then it's fine. There's no problem.
And remember, tomorrow we'll be discussing about the substitutes, the natural foods that you need to take. So if you're craving chocolate, tomorrow we'll be helping you jump out of the crave. Kate Kibara will be with us on Feel Good Friday. Eat this, not that. So remember to join us on that. Now, Kate, you touched on whites. There's this thing with whites. All of a sudden, it's not healthy anymore. We're used to chapatis, we're used to mandazis, and, you know, all that bread, white bread, and very addictive also. So what is wrong with whites?
Yeah, white. Unfortunately, anything that is white, the flours that we use, our ugali flour, our chapati,
as well?
the processed one, the white one, what they do when they have, it's being refined. That's the word, refined. They take the maize, for example, they remove the outer part, which has fiber, and fiber is what is excellent for digestion, you know, it gives you this, removes the middle part, which contains, you know, in biology, remember when you we drew a seed and then there's the germ inside, so this one is also removed.
The germ is removed.
Yes, because if it is part of the highly processed flour, you find that it turns the oil, the unga to get to go off
Yeah.
easily,
Yeah.
and then now you leave it with the middle part. Well, all this is happening. You may delete or remove from the grain the chromium, which is part of the bran outside. You may remove the B vitamins, so you're left with the middle part, which is like pure sugar. And this middle part, which is pure sugar, that is the problem. Because when it gets into your system, and it is something that we do frequently, you find now that your glucose levels rise immediately. And it is the same effect I have been talking about. So when your glucose levels are high, the body works hard to reduce within a certain period of time. And if it is something that is done all the time, and for a long period of time, excess glucose is converted to glycogen, and then it is converted to fat. So the body, instead of even going to the glycogen stage, because I keep providing, it just jumps to the end stage. And by doing this, you're also missing your very good B vitamins that are found in the whole meals. So it is good to actually look for the whole. I don't know why we stopped eating how our grandparents used to eat.
I think it's more palatable when you're eating the processed foods, especially like the unga. If you eat the one that is, I think, grade 1, it's a little bit tough on the tongue and on the mouth, and you know, as you feed, it's a problem also for young children. And rice, it's only the other day that we were introduced to brown rice. Has it been there for the longest time?
Oh, brown rice has been there forever.
Oh.
If you go shopping, you'll find healthy foods that you never thought were there. So what people would do, if you have like the flour that you need to make chapati and you actually have only this, the white one, what you can do, you can add certain things to it to maybe add the fiber or to enrich in it. And that's what a lot of people are doing these days. Just enriching the flour with now other ingredients because this one is lacking in something. Yeah.
And what about fortifying? Because it's a craze in Kenya right now. Everything is fortified. Can we trust that everything is fortified?
I believe fortified foods, especially for children, are not just put on the shelf like this. I think they have to pass through, maybe, I don't know whether Ministry of Health is part of this, but a lot of fortified foods, of course, are scrutinized enough to check whether, if they have said vitamin C is added, vitamin A is added, and mostly it's children, baby food that are fortified, or even the flours that I'm talking about, I think they have started being, I don't know.
But the problem is, when you cook them, you know, things like vitamin A, are they stable? Are they intact? That is the question.
And also, are they adding, why can't you just have the fortification naturally instead? But I think a lot of fortification cases are found, especially where you have a lot of hunger, starvation, where the child or the children need to get a lot of nutrient-dense food at one particular time. So there's a lot of food fortification. But today food is being fortified and on the shelf because the manufacturers have seen that there's a need and people are now running to healthy eating. So there's a need to make their foods more healthier than they were previously. That's why you'll even find not only do we find the fortification, you'll find like low fat, low sugar on the shelf. So it is my dairy product but is low in fat, or it is my liquid oil that is written cholesterol free. And some of them could be true, but some like cholesterol free on a liquid oil, that is true because vegetables do not have cholesterol. You get cholesterol from animal source only. So if it is a vegetable oil, it will be cholesterol free. But the low sugar, low fat, we will find this on a lot of labels because now that's what we are running away from. But what have they substituted the low sugar with?
Right.
Maybe they have added more fat, or what have they substituted the low fat with?
Okay.
The best thing, when you go shopping, sometimes when I like reading labels just to go through and see what is contained here.
Yes.
In fact, I was reading somewhere, if you cannot understand 3-4 ingredients, why take it? Because
just
you don't know.
Let it go.
Yeah. Just let it go. So reading labels is important, and introducing as much as healthy natural foods that you can actually see. And of course, a combination of healthy eating, exercising, drinking lots of water, being stress-free or reducing your stress the healthy way will make your body balance all these things that we are exposed to.
Okay, and remember, we'll be joined by Kate Kibara tomorrow on Eat This, Not That. So this is just something that you need to throw out, but it's something that you will do, you know, progressively. And she'll be here to help us know what we need to substitute. Any final words before we close?
Final words is to say that 80% of your aging process is in your control.
Wow.
10% is in the, maybe something has happened to you, or maybe, but 80% of your health is in your hands. You're the one, you're the last person who makes the conscious decision of choosing healthy over unhealthy. So it is you who decides, and once you have that, and once you internalize why you have to do it, not because anything has happened, it becomes very easy to eat healthy. It just becomes the easiest thing you can do. Yeah. So if you value yourself, if you value your health, and you're the one controlling it, it's not even Kate or any other health person who talks.
Right.
It is you who makes that last decision
Amazing.
of choosing healthy over unhealthy.
Wow, thank you so much for coming on set and just educating us. Remember, 80% of your health is in your hands. What will you do with your health? Make right choices. Remember to join us tomorrow, Feel Good Friday, Eat This, Not That. We'll be telling you about the substitutes that you need to have, whatever you need to have in your system to ensure that you are healthy and whole. Feel Good Friday, tomorrow. Catch us very early in the morning, 7 a.m. We will be with Kibara. It has been great having you. My name is Wavinya Wanyasa. See you tomorrow.